there in China. Didn't expect to. Everything was really clean. Everything was good. The food quality was good. It's like walking certain streets in the US, I would like not do that. But in China, me walking around Beijing, I felt totally fine walking around late at night, 2 a.m., and probably feel safer than you do back in the US or in Europe. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be answering the big question: is China safe to visit? I know there's a lot of people online that have already made videos about this, and it seems like a lot of them play on stereotypes, whether about China or about US and the West, Europe. Everybody, no one's giving a nuanced take here. So I'm going to be the voice of reason. I'm going to be the expert because I went to China for 10 days on a trip. So I know you can trust me. I'm a man on the internet. I will not lie to you. So I went to China earlier this year, right? And before that, I was telling my family about this big trip I had, visiting multiple countries. And whenever I told them I was visiting China, they always said, ooh, is it safe to go there? Is it okay? Like, do you have to worry about anything whenever you're going there? And I was thinking, I don't think so. Like, it seems like it's probably fine. I don't know anything why it wouldn't be. Also, context here. I am from a town of less than 2,000 people in America, and I'm like the first person in my family to have a passport and to travel, so keep those things in mind. Anyways, what's the truth? What's it mean for just normal people like you, like me, that are visiting China? What are the safety concerns you should have, and what's a nuanced take? One of the first things that people worry about is the surveillance, the government surveillance. China has so many cameras all over the city, right? They're everywhere. They're tracking everybody. And maybe to an American, to a Westerner, that seems weird. Though, if I think about it, I don't know, there's cameras in the US too. Like, a lot of businesses have security cameras up. Yeah, I think in New York City, maybe there's like cameras on the street. Yeah, maybe there's not as many, but I don't know. I was also in the camp where I'm thinking, well, I mean, surveillance doesn't seem that bad. Like, if there's a violent crime, then, they're going to have everything on camera and they'll be able to, capture the person and justice will be served, all that. So I wasn't really too worried about any surveillance. Maybe it was one of those things where I'm thinking, what if I search for something on my phone and I don't know it's illegal, right? And the cops come to my door in my hotel and take me away. But I don't know, what would I do? I don't go around breaking laws often. So I don't think you have to worry about any sort of extra surveillance. Yes, as a tourist, you're in the general net of, they say, I'm saying surveillance, but it's more so, just there for safety, and you're not maybe being tracked in the sense of they're bugging your room, they're listening to your phone calls. I don't know, people don't really care. Don't worry about the government surveillance. There's nothing, if you're not a diplomat or a journalist, then if you're a YouTuber, no one really cares, or a tourist, so you're fine. Don't worry about that part. You're good on that front. Whenever you're traveling, one thing that I personally am always looking out for are the scams. So that was something I was curious about coming to China. What are the scams going to be like? I've been, approached by many people on the street in the US and many other countries. They're trying to scam you. They tell you some story and they're trying to get your money, or they're trying to trick you somehow into giving you money, or a taxi doesn't run the meter. So those were a couple of things that I was on the lookout for in China. And I must say, I barely saw any of that, if at all. And not even in mainland. It was in Hong Kong where I had somebody come up and show me their phone with a message written in English saying, oh, I came over from the mainland without an ID and I can't find work to feed my daughter. Can you please give me money? And it's like, how'd you come from the mainland to Hong Kong without an ID? And why is this message in English and you're not asking anybody else? One of those things. I was like, this is probably a scam. And hopefully that was a scam. I feel bad if I didn't give this person money and he could not feed his daughter. Anyways, but those are the kind of things you can look out for. But in mainland China, didn't experience any of it. Even around the big sites in Beijing, at temples, Tiananmen Square, Great Wall of China, no one was trying to, tell me some story or trying to trick me into giving them money. You might have sellers of souvenirs that are a little, pushy, but not bad. If you that's anywhere. That's a thing. It's literally anywhere you go to, people are going to be, trying to get you to buy souvenirs. They're just trying to make a living. You just got to be able to tell people no. It's no big deal. So that was maybe, the only thing that I noticed, but otherwise no other scams. Of course, I took taxis with Didi, which is their version of Uber. It's a ride-hailing app. But I did take some taxis that I just hailed down in like a smaller town. And before I'd get in, they'd, point or tap on the meter, let me know they were running the meter. I don't know if it was like too much. It seemed pretty comparable with the taxis I took in Beijing. Not saying it can't happen, because I haven't been to every single place in China and every tourist site. And if you don't want to buy a souvenir, be able to tell people no, and you don't got to buy one. Safety at night. So if you're going out for drinks, or if you're going out walking the streets of Beijing or Shanghai late at night, yeah, you don't have to worry about like violent crime, muggings, things like that. Again, violent crime is very low in cities in China, probably throughout the country as well, right? And in that region, East Asia, you don't have as much violent crime. Definitely not like the US. Okay, I'm not this like big anti-US, oh, China's so much better, I like to have a nuanced take, but for sure sometimes like walking certain streets in the US, I would like not do that. But in China, me walking around Beijing, I felt totally fine walking around late at night. I will say I don't drink a ton, so I wasn't out like at bars and clubs, but I probably would give people the general advice that I'd give anyone, like be sure you watch your drink, watch your belongings if you leave them somewhere. But that's advice for anywhere, honestly. If you're like a woman, for sure, like be watching your drink, things like that. General safety precautions. So otherwise, at night in China, you can walk around all alone, 2 a.m. and probably feel safer than you do back in the US or in Europe. All right, and then for cleanliness, this is another thing I wasn't sure about before I went to China. Didn't know too much. I know maybe like you shouldn't drink tap water, but you drink boiled water while there, so keep that in mind whenever you go. And then for like restaurants, everything was great, everything was fine, didn't get sick at all. There in China, didn't expect to, everything was really clean, everything was good, the food quality was good. This one's quick, everything was fine, the streets were clean, and then I have to say something, right? I can't just say everything's perfect. My hotel was supposed to be non-smoking, and then the first night I was in there, I think the people next to me in the room next to me were smoking, and it was like coming into my room, and so I like went and opened the window, and it was March, it was cold, so I was letting the heat out, but I was like tired of the smell of the smoke, so that's maybe the only thing, but not a huge deal. One restaurant I went to, I thought that there was no like smoking inside restaurants, especially in Beijing, but I went to one smaller one, and there's some people in there. It's, again, not a huge deal. And if you like to smoke, then you're gonna love it. But it was just a mild annoyance. But otherwise, cleanliness, all good. Wouldn't worry about it. So those are the main concerns that I got from my family, my friends, whenever I told them that I was going to China. They were wondering if I was going to be surveyed by the government, whether it was safe to go out at night and be alone, and then whether it was a clean place to go and visit. So I can say all those things, you're good to go. Hopefully that's a nuanced, balanced take about what it's like to travel in China, whether it's safe to do so as an American, as anybody, literally from anybody. If you're from Japan watching this and you're wondering if it's safe to go to China, yeah, you're good. Wouldn't worry about it. Always look both ways whenever you cross the road. Things like that. Common sense, you're going to be good. I would say the biggest challenge is actually the language barrier. So if you're not used to traveling without speaking the language, be sure you have a language app downloaded, maybe offline, so you don't need data to access it, to translate with people in Chinese. And if you have any like special medical needs, maybe knowing some phrases in Mandarin, so you're able to communicate those. So in my opinion, I'd go back. I would go back now if I could. If I could afford the flight, I would go back tomorrow. If you like the channel, please drop a like on the video, subscribe if you want to. You don't have to watch another video of mine at all. Just watch this one, subscribe, and then you can forget about me. It helps the channel. And then maybe one day I can go back to China. So I would appreciate it. But thanks everybody for watching. Comment if you have any other thoughts about safety or ideas, anything else anybody should know, and then I will see you guys in the next video.